price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Okay guys, welcome to part 2. This is the part 2 of 3 parts. Hopefully you liked the first part, but I hope you like this second part even more, and I hope you like the third part even more, and I hope you like the whole series. And I'm gonna do a live because there's just so much stuff that I haven't been able to talk about because it's such a loaded layered topic. And I'm going to do a live next week, so stay tuned for that. If you want to see it and want to have any recommendations or anything like that, you can leave them down in the comments below. But in order to stay up to date with what I'm doing, you need to put on your post notifications. And in order to do that, you have to subscribe. So please do that. And you might as well leave a like too. Might as well just give it the 1, 2, 3 combo. So you might as well like, comment, subscribe, do it all. I want you guys to realize why I showed the colorism video. I did that to show how white supremacy can implant its messages and its anti-black narrative in the minds of a young child. Young children are very susceptible to manipulation, to self-hate, to a whole lot of issues that we have to fix. White supremacy would do that on purpose. And if you can imagine how easy it is to make a child hate their own skin tone, you can only imagine how easy it is to make a child grow up having a negative view of the opposite sex. Go back to the breaking down of Black family, you also saw many incidents where the mother and the father would have to split up, and the courts would lean more to the mother's side because the courts got paid off the father's child support checks. The courts would get a bigger percentage off of the biggest checks, so the courts would give the custody to the mother, and they would make the father have to pay the child support checks, and the father would have to live somewhere else, and the father would see the child every other weekend. And this not only damages the child because the child doesn't get to see their father, and sometimes it was the mother too, but the child wouldn't be able to see the other parent as efficiently as much as they need to, and the courts would incentivize that. The courts would incentivize the parents not getting back together because of the welfare and everything. The courts incentivized black women staying single or black women not living with their men. Mind you too, what would go on in a lot of households is, and this kind of is our fault as well, you would have bitterness between couples, and they would spew their bitterness to the child and use the child as some type of weapon against the other parent. So you would have a black mother who was like, oh, your daddy ain't this, you know, he left, blah blah blah, he cheated, blah blah blah. And I'm not trying to say that all single mothers or all black women were like that, but you did have many cases of that. I can speak to that myself as far as what I've heard from other people. I'm not trying to say myself personally, but as far as what I've heard from other people, their mothers kind of taught them to hate their fathers. Now, as a black girl, your mother's teaching you to hate your father. If you growing up as a black girl have a negative view of your father, or have daddy issues as a growing up as a black girl, you would also hear media, you would also hear things such as, you know, ain't nothing going on but the rent. There was one song, I don't remember the name, you guys can find it, but songs such as Scrubs, you know, if he ain't got no money, he doesn't mean anything. So the value of a man was really his money. That's pretty much what the value is. And then you would have ghetto hood movies where you would see a black man relying on a black woman for finances. He needed her car, her credit, to borrow money, a place to stay, everything. So the image of the black man was really going down. We pretty much seemed as black men, from what the media tried to manipulate into the black community, that black men really weren't worth anything. Now, like I said, these things do play in the minds of children, and a child growing up, if he's seeing bad things about people who look like him, if he's saying bad things about black men, he's gonna act on those. Children are gonna do what they see. At the end of the day, they are children. So if a child sees only negative images of other black men, then the child is gonna most likely be negative and most likely act on the negative images that he sees. Another reason why I brought up the colorism video is because colorism does play a percentage in this gender war divide, because you would have a black person who would hate their color. So if you hate your color, you would more likely lean towards things that are not your color. So you would have black men who probably would be more loyal or have more respect for white women. You would have black women who would be more respectable and more ladylike when they're dealing with white men. So those, and they would have vitriol. That's the most important part. They would have vitriol, no respect, no manners when it came to dealing and dating people of their own race. They would also put rumors, lies, different stories to kind of manipulate the minds of susceptible young black people, such as when a black man gets money or when he gets some type of fame or status, he runs to a white woman and he wants to be with a white woman now, which you do have black celebrities who, first male and female, you have black celebrities who get with a white person or a non-black person, but that's not the majority. Most black people who have wealth, who have status, and who have some sort of fame or success, most of those black people actually do get in a relationship with another black person. But that's not what the narrative, that's not what the rumors would be. So they would put that in the minds of black girls. Oh, you know, this you can be loyal to a black man all you want to, and the second he gets some money, he runs to a white woman, which that's not really the case. What they would also do is they would kind of implant the fact that white women were this superior group of women to young black boys through osmosis. When they would see a celebrity like Michael Jordan or somebody else who's super famous, super successful, and they're with a white woman, and you would see white women on TV being these golden angel. They would be so angelic on television and on movies and things like that. They're so valuable, and you would see the celebrity, if you grew up looking up to Michael Jordan and you see Michael Jordan get with a white woman and you want to be like Mike, then you probably would lean more towards getting with a white woman. And I'm not trying to say that all black men do, because most black men actually don't. You would also have dark-skinned people portrayed in media, such as movies and TV, as if they're less desirable than lighter-skinned people or white people. So that would play on the minds of black women and black men as well. Now, of course, you know, I love black women and I love all black people, but I am gonna have to say that most of the gender war narrative, most of that is targeted towards black women, and it really comes from the Democratic left-wing side of media, that, oh, you know, black women, you're so strong and independent and you don't need a man. And when they say you don't need a man, that's kind of like, dog, you don't need a black man. You don't need a black man. You're strong, you're independent. This toxic masculinity, which really only seems like it's directed towards black men. Toxic masculinity is only really referred to when you're referring to black men, and you don't need those bad black men who don't respect you and treat you like how you deserve. And to a black woman who has daddy issues, to a black woman who has low self-esteem, to a black woman who is susceptible to being to being tricked and manipulated, she would believe that, okay, well, yeah, I guess she would kind of play into that, because what they would do is they would make every group of black people, such as black women, black LGBT, immigrants, all different types of little subgroups in black society, feel as if they're their own special little class, and then they could use that, like I said in the last video, to either attack or promote that group. So when you promote black women as a whole, which I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, black women should be promoted, but when the Democrats and the left, when they promote black women, they do it, and then they make the other subgroups, well, not really the other subgroups, just black men, because they don't do it with the LGBT black people or like immigrant black people. They'll do it with black men. So when they promote those groups, and then they'll say, really, black people are your enemy, and they would do that for the reason of diverting the energy, the anti-black fighting energy that black women naturally have, that black women have had for hundreds of years. They divert that and they put that on us, because they'll make it seem like we're the problem, or we're the primary problem that they need to face right now. Now, I want to make another video on the emasculation of black men, and first off, I want to say this is not to attack, like I just mentioned, subgroups. This isn't to attack any subgroup, because I believe that all black people in general should just be on code and have a black agenda. So I'm not trying to attack any subgroup. If you're within any of those subgroups, I'm not trying to attack you, but I am trying to say they do manipulate you guys, and they do use you guys against a black agenda. So you guys, even if you don't know it, you guys are pushing an anti-black narrative. I want to make another video on the emasculation of black men, because that's kind of a thing too. The buck breaking, you can go all the way back to slavery, how they used to put black men in dresses, how they used to rape black men, and every little emasculating thing they would do up till now. And now they're making black women look at black men as if black men's masculinity is wrong and it's bad to have. So not only are black women who are single mothers raising their children without masculinity, they're trying to avoid and put a barrier between their sons and masculinity, because they've been tricked into thinking that black masculinity is a bad thing. I want to make a reply to a video I saw on YouTube where this one black woman was having a conversation. They were conversing, not having a debate necessarily, but like a dialogue between the term weakest links, which weakest links mean it's a derogatory term used for black men, saying that straight black men are the weakest link in black society. We do the less to contribute to black society, and we hold black society back. That's what the term weakest link is for. So you'll see that, I don't know if you guys are active on Twitter, you'll see sometimes some bitter black woman use, oh, black men are the weakest link in black society. And I'm not trying to say, oh, so please, all police don't come for me. But you'll see that, and mostly you'll see that with black women, young black women. Black men are the weakest link in black society. There's articles about that. Black men, we need to accept the fact that we're privileged, which is statistically the opposite of the case. And I'm not trying to say that black women are living high off the hog, but black men, if you look at every measurable factor, everything that you can count, black men have the highest murder rates, the highest incarceration rates, the highest unemployment rates, the lowest education. Kind of everything bad happens to black men at a higher percentage than it does everybody else. Now, there are some things that black women have to face that black men don't have to face to the same extent, because white supremacy is smart enough to know to attack black men and black women in different ways. So a lot of black women might think that, okay, this is sexism, you're discriminating against me because I'm a woman. No, it's because you're a black woman. Like they have the thing with Breonna Taylor, oh, protect black women, but at the end of the day, no matter what happened with Breonna Taylor, and you guys should probably watch the videos that I made about Breonna Taylor, but what happened to her would not have ever happened if Breonna Taylor was white. What happened to Breonna Taylor happened to her not because she was a woman, but because she was black. Because if we go back to Tamir Rice, if we go back to Trayvon Martin and Tamir Rice, their killers are still completely fine, free from jail, just like Breonna Taylor's killers were. And the commonality between those two was the fact that they're black. So when it comes to white supremacy, you can be you can be male or female, you'll still get killed and you still won't see no justice. But they make you think that, it's a black woman thing. It's not a black woman thing. It's a black thing. You have to be black first. That's really what it is. Because if it was a black man, nothing would have been different. Okay, so without any further ado, I know I said I was just going to bring it up, but I'm going to bring up her video now, and she's going to give the definition of the weakest links and why black people, I just said that already, but why black men are referred to as the weakest links.
Perspective. So we've kind of spoken briefly about the topic, but we didn't record it, so I'm glad we're sitting down again to record it. So my statement over the weekend, actually I think it was on Monday, was basically that in the fight for racial justice and racial equality, black men are the weakest link. Now, Abby, is that are you familiar with the saying, black men are the weakest link?
Nah, I haven't heard it before, to be fair. It's quite an interesting, term or phrase. It would be good for you to tell me more about what that means.
Okay, perfect. Because I honestly feel like a lot of people that were quick to jump, quick to comment, had also never heard that phrase before. And I had heard it quite a lot over the last few years. but I really felt like I hadn't given it its due credibility until I witnessed what I witnessed that weekend. And what it's basically saying is that when it comes to fighting against racial inequality and racial injustices, Black men, specifically Black straight men, tend to fight for themselves as a group. They're fighting for the way they are treated. They're fighting for the persecutions they face. They don't really fight for the other members of their community and try to achieve equality as a whole. And in comparison, when Black women fight for racial equality, we fight for everybody. We fight for Black men, we fight for Black gay men, we fight for Black gay women, we fight for Black women. But when it comes to those other groups, their issues that they're being persecuted on, and the negative stereotypes and the hurtful things and injustices that the other groups face, we often find that not only are Black men silenced, but also sometimes Black men are actively contributing to the persecution or to the injustices that these other groups are facing. So, your thoughts now? I'm saying that in terms of the fight and how hard Black women are fighting, what Black men are doing, there is definitely a lot of room for improvement. And I'm going to give you examples so we can actually frame this argument. Okay, so Black Lives Matter, you know, a lot of that was police brutality, a lot of Black men being killed. Obviously, there are Black women being killed by the police, but in large part, it's a lot of Black men being killed by the police, a lot of Black men being harassed and stopped unnecessarily by the police, a lot of Black men being incarcerated at shocking, disparity to white counterparts. So Black women have been at the forefront of that fight. We have never said that is not our fight, it does not directly affect us, we're not going to march. You are our brothers, you are our sons, you are our husbands. We have been right there leading. A lot of the Black Lives Matter protests were led by women, organized by women, promoted on social media by women. The campaign Pull Up for Change was led by 2 Black women. I don't know if you're familiar with what that is, but that is the call for corporations, large corporations, to show us the percentage of Black people and ethnic minorities they have at the top of their board, in leadership, management, and at the top of their board of directors. You know, these calls and these campaigns are being led by Black women. Blackout Day, encouraging us to mute ourselves for the day so the world can understand Black Lives Matter. Black Pound Day, the initiative to support Black-owned businesses and the push for that, again, led by Black women. When it comes to actively fighting this fight, Black women are so present and at a significantly larger rate, I feel, than Black men. And I feel like when it comes to our fights, the things that affect Black women on a large scale, the fact that, Black women are 4 times as likely to die in labor than white women are, the fact that Black women are often, described as being aggressive, having too much attitude, or our looks are usually dehumanized or belittled. I feel like when it comes to these issues that plague us, give us self-esteem issues, give us mental health issues, and cause us not to be considered as equal as our white counterparts, I just don't see enough Black men being ready to ride out the way Black women are ready to ride out for your causes.
Okay, now I'm not gonna try to drag that sister down for what she was saying, because I think she was just trying to explain what the term means. I do believe I did see the video, and I will link it down so you guys can watch it, and I recommend that you do. But I really don't. First off, the term that term really doesn't have any substance to it. She says that Black men don't fight equally for racial injustice. First off, I don't even like to use the term racial injustice. We're fighting anti-Black injustice, because with the term racial injustice, the reason why Black men, and I'm gonna speak for myself as a Black man who's been to many protests, who's been to many organizations and contributed and done everything that is in my power to do. So I've donated, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything like that, but I've tried to do that, and so has many other Black men. But the thing is that like I said, they're the negative, or not the negative, they are negative, but the left tends to manipulate black women into following Trojan horses. So when we have fights for other people's stuff, you might not see black men being there as much as black women are, but that's not our fight. When we have fights for black people in black society, the black community, black men are very much so there. Black men are very active, and I'm not trying to say that all black men are super activist or super active in their community. I'm not even going to say that the black men are doing what they're supposed to be doing. I feel like more black men should be doing it, but I do also feel that they make it seem as if all black women are these Black Panther activists and black men are just bums on the couch. First of all, if we're gonna be honest, most of these bummy black dudes come from single mothers, and I'm not trying to disrespect single mothers, but like I said, without a father in the house, you can't really expect a super masculine man to come out 9 times out of 10. You can't expect that if that person isn't growing up with a male figure in his life. So you deprive the black man of a male figure and then expect him to be this super radical activist, which I'm not gonna say, well, not radical, but which I'm not gonna say he can't be a man if he doesn't have a father in his life or grows up with a single mother. But I'm trying to say, y'all kind of start the issue. The single black mothers who keep their children away from the fathers, they kind of start the issue. But even those men who aren't super activists are not like super against. First, she made it seem like we actively contribute to a lot of the issues in black society. There are many black men who do that. There are many black women who do that as well. I don't see exactly what she's talking about. Now, she mentions the fight for black LGBT and black gay women and black gay men. Let me address that a little bit later. But what I want to say is the way black women make it seem, or the way the people who say the term weakest link make it seem, that there's this army of black women out there who's always on the march for racial justice, but that's not the case. When you go to the protest, you don't see exclusively black women groups in a protest for black people. You don't see that. You see many black men there. I don't know where this narrative of there's an army of black women. First off, the percentage of black women who are actually out there in the streets working and doing activities is not nearly as much as they make it seem like there is. Shout out to the ones that are doing it, but that's not the majority. That's not the majority. I'm not gonna say it's the majority of black men, but it's not the majority of black women. Another thing too, they'll mention like the front lines. Now, she didn't say this in her video, but I've seen this several times. Well, when something happens to a black man, a black women's the first one to be on the front lines, and black women are always on the front lines, but it doesn't get reciprocated. I don't know what front lines they're talking about. What let's define what the front line is. Let's define that, because if the front line is a protest, there are some black women who organize protests, and shout out to them, of course. There are also black men who organize protests, and just because you organize a protest don't mean that black men aren't there. Just because a black woman might have started the hashtag Black Lives Matter or started a protest doesn't mean black men aren't there. Black men aren't contributing to that. So yeah, you got an idea. That doesn't mean that, oh, we're on the front lines and where are you guys? Because they make it seem like with every instance that happens, black women are there and black women are taking the blows and stuff like that, and black men are absent, and that's not the case. And I'm going to show you guys some videos about that. Okay, this was a video of Sandra Bland protest, and a brief description of the Sandra Bland case was that she was pulled over, I think for some type of tail light or a brake light or something like that. She was pulled over for that. She got arrested, she went to jail, and she died in jail. She was killed in jail. They say that she hung herself in prison, which everybody knew didn't make any sense. Everybody knew that was fake, that was a lie, and there were protests about that because her killing herself, there was no cameras, nobody saw anything, so we all knew that her death was a murder, really, and there were protests out there. And I'm gonna show you guys a clip of the protest, and I want you guys to pay attention to something very important. Pay attention to what I just said, remember what I just said, and watch this video and see if you can notice what I want you guys to notice.
But now the protest is actually breaking up. It was held on the sidewalk here, probably 40 to 50 people here this afternoon talking about how they want more information. They want more of an investigation into the DPS troopers' actions. We were talking with some of them about what they would like to see happen as we move forward.
We take on the people's cause, and if the shoe was on the other foot, the government or police would offer a reward for information of what happened to one of their own. But since they're not doing it in this case, it's up to the people to do.
We're bringing the attention and the focus back to the state trooper who unlawfully brutalized or arrested our dear sister. And we demand that he be brought to justice. If Sandra Bland can be arrested for committing no crime at all, surely this racist state trooper can be arrested for being an actual criminal.
Yeah, you see that? That's black men there. Black men are there on the front lines. Well, I'm assuming protests are the front lines, but black men are there on the front lines trying to get justice for a black woman. I'm gonna show you guys another clip. There was a story earlier this year in 2020 of a black woman, a single black mother who lives in New York, Long Island, New York, and she was being harassed by her white supremacist neighbors. They were throwing dead animals on her yard, they were throwing feces, they were harassing her, threatening her, and she put up a post. She like wrote down everything that was going on, her information. She put out that post on Instagram. That started to trend, and then you had black men. There were black women there as well, but you had black men who came out in this like almost small army to guard her house. They didn't just come out for like a picture or two, like, hey, I'm out here doing my thing, and then they left. They stayed from day to night. They took shifts and stayed overnight. She had overnight protection from these black men against white men. Now, if you look up the articles, you won't see the videos. I'm gonna show you the videos actually, because you know that's how I do, but I'm gonna show you the videos. If you look in the articles and you read the stories, you don't see the pictures of the black men there. You'll see her post, but you don't see the black men, and you don't see that because the media doesn't want to show black men actively protecting black women. But why don't you take a look at this? Yep, all because she said she needed support, all because she said she needed protection. All of those black men came. They didn't expect any money. This wasn't to promote any organization or any agenda or anything like that. She just said she needed protection, and they came. So I'm gonna say, first of all, thank all the black women who are actually out there trying to make a difference, trying to contribute in any way possible by starting the organization or contributing to an organization, whether you donate, whether you just share something on your social media. Anything that you do that makes a difference, that's a good thing. And I'm not trying to take away any credit that the black woman has done, but let's address some of the things that she said. First of all, Blackout Day was started by a black man. She's saying it was led by black women. It was started by a black man. One of the issues that black men face is black men feel like we can do something and a black woman can do something, but the black woman gets the spotlight when it comes to the activism, and then black men are told, well, where are you guys? You guys are never there to, you know, fight for our cause. First off, there are no your causes, there are no our causes. It is a black cause. You are with this because police brutality, whether it happens to a black man, it doesn't just affect black men. If you're, let's say Eric Gardner, for example, if Eric Gardner had children, a wife and children, and he was killed by the police, that affects his children. And ultimately it did, because I believe his daughter committed suicide shortly after his murder. But those things affect everybody. So police brutality is not just, first off, it doesn't just happen to black men. You can look at Breonna Taylor and Sandra Bland and a whole bunch of other black women, a lot of other black women. But even if it happens to a black man, that doesn't just affect black men as well. It affects the whole society as a group. It affects the black men, the black children, and the black women as well. So there are no your causes. I'll say this one thing: when she says we don't voice our concerns enough for, the medical stuff. I made a video, which, you guys should check that out. And I'll leave a link down for that too. A video about the anti-black medical field, the anti-black healthcare. When she said the thing about labor, that's 100% correct. But notice where that energy is being pointed to. That energy is being pointed to black men. Black men, why aren't you speaking up about this? Why aren't you speaking up about that? But that energy doesn't get pointed to white women. White women, now she just admitted, white women are 4 times more likely to survive in labor than black women are. But when they're at their pro-women, pro-abortion, pro-healthcare marches or whatever, they don't bring that up to them. They'll bring that to black men as if black men are the problem for the racist doctors practicing anti-black racism on black women. But they don't bring that up to white society. A thing with the discrimination, we should feel offended. I feel offended when I see a black woman who's being discriminated on the fact that she's black. So if it's her skin tone, if it's her hair, her facial features, anything, because that's a woman in my society, that's a woman in my race. I feel offended for that. But on the other side too, she's making it seem like black women are being stereotyped with these negative stereotypes, but black men aren't. Black women do get called ghetto and loud and aggressive and stuff like that. Black men also get called thugs. The term niggas ain't shit, let's keep it real, that term pretty much comes mostly from black women. I'm sorry about that. Somebody had called me and I cut my video off, so I'm sorry about that interruption. That's wrapping up part 2. Stay tuned for part 3 because part 3 is coming right next. So make sure you watch part 3. But before you click off this video, before this video is over, like this video, comment on this video, and do the same for part 3. So see you later.